Aloha, welcome back. So excited to talk about today's topic for the Flow State Challenge. We'll be talking about envisioning and creating best case scenarios for your life. And I love this topic. Honestly, I really think about it all the time. One of my good friends started this kind of movement with her affirmation called Everything's Always Working Out Best Case Scenario. And her name is Heather. Anyway, so Heather started this affirmation, and it's amazing how something as simple as that affirmation can really change your mindset, your consciousness, what you attract, and also just like the vibration of where you're coming from. Because if you truly believe that everything's always working out best case scenario, then you probably can relax a little bit in the knowing that whatever's going on is actually for the highest and best. Like the way I've always said it in my own life is, everything's unfolding according to the divine and perfect order, right? So there's a divine and perfect order in the universe. In fact, there's a universal law of divine order. So the divine order is always happening, right? And so often the human rational mind or fear steps in and is like, oh no, things are like really bad. Or if you think about what's going on in the world, it could look like really like, how could this be divine order, right? Or how could this be best case scenario? But you got to look at the big picture. One of the things that really helped me in my life is to study astrophysics and quantum physics, and to realize that from the very, very most macro perspective, which is another thing that we call looking at it from a wide lens. So when you think, and there's also another way of saying it, like eagle vision. So eagle vision, wide lens, macro perspective, all of this means looking at the big picture. And so if you look at the big picture, like from outer space, and you look down on humanity, on the planet, and maybe even from an infinite, eternal timeline, you could say, okay, like actually everything is unfolding in divine and perfect order according to a divine plan. And when we really feel this way about life, I feel like it can give us a lot more peace in our hearts about life. Because so often, if we're somewhat trying to, let's say, figure out why is the world all weird, like why is there a pandemic, why is there a climate crisis, why are these things happening, why is there mental health crisis in children, and you could say, wow, okay, well, if you think about it, humans have chosen to be born as humans in this earth, on this planet, in order to grow, evolve, and eventually to evolve to such an extent on a spiritual level that we would merge back into the oneness of existence. So in order to get to that place, there's a lot of healing to do on this energy of feeling separate, feeling disconnected from the oneness, feeling all of those things. So if you think about just on the level of the planet, for example, the reason for the climate crisis, it was said by a Native American prophet that the reason for the climate crisis is to bring humanity back from separation and then back towards the oneness. So how would that happen? Let's just say that for a second. Like, because we all have to work together. We literally have to feel the interconnectedness between ourselves, each other, and the planet and the universe in order to heal the planet right now. And so that's really what's happening. So on a macro level, on a large scale, wide lens vision of what's going on, every single thing in the world that's happening to the people, that's happening on the planet, is all literally happening for us and not to us. It's happening for people to awaken. It's happening for people to evolve, to grow, to expand, to heal, to let go of delusions and distortions. And when you're in the middle of all of that, it's quite messy. So that's where we're at in terms of the timeline of humanity. We're in the messy middle part where everybody's just like waking up and learning, wow, we've destroyed our planet and we're in a really bad place and our children are suffering and we haven't put in anything in the school systems to help them. So we're in a good place in the sense of, for those who are watching this, you're probably one of the people that's awake. If this is new information for you, then it's exciting that you have come here, because we are here as part of the leading edge, the kind of on the forefront of bringing consciousness to humanity. I've been doing this for over 17 years, but really since I was a kid. I was born as a spiritual person. But it's an interesting thing because even in my own experience of this life, I had to tremendously suffer. My mother lost her mind. She was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I had to experience the pain of separation from my mother, from my parents, from the people that I loved the most, in order to go through this deep, traumatic, painful journey to eventually find my way back to the light, find my spiritual path and my purpose. Luckily for me, that was 17 years ago. But ultimately, everybody has to go through that on some level in order to ascend into a higher spiritual development, higher evolution. And so that's really what's going on the planet. I'm super excited actually that we're here. I feel like we've all chosen to be born on Earth at this time together to awaken humanity and to lead all of humanity back to the oneness, back to consciousness, back to the unity energy that will save and heal our planet and the people here. So with that being said, today's topic is about the best case scenario. So this is something I've been really working with in my meditations. Like when you ask yourself, what would be the absolute best case scenario for your life? Now, this is a really interesting question because sometimes you can ask that and you're like, wow, what would it be? And your first response or the first thought that comes could be something simple, like, oh yeah, well, best case scenario, everything just works out. Whatever I'm working on, it just like flows. That's best case scenario. On the global level, I like to think best case scenario is that we heal the planet. Humanity goes back to the oneness consciousness. Everybody gets along. There's peace and harmony amongst all beings. And children are being taught yoga and meditation in all schools so that they are born and growing and evolving and developing consciousness from a young age in every school, in every home in the world. And so these are like global best case scenarios, right? Best case scenario, we heal the climate crisis. We plant 1 trillion hemp trees and the planet regulates the CO2 production, the temperatures stabilize, and we have massive amounts of oxygen prevalent, and the oceans are cleaned of all the plastic, and we replace all plastic with eco-plastics made out of hemp or other cornstarch or other types of sources, algae. People are eating algae protein burgers instead of animal burgers that have been producing the CO2 and all sorts of things. So there's just like this huge movement towards what we could consider best case scenario. And when I think of best case scenario, it's not best case scenario just for me or for the individual, best case scenario for all involved, for all beings, for all the beings involved, all the beings in the planet, for the planet itself. So you can kind of decide on what level you want to envision best case scenario. For me, I like to envision it on the macro level, but then it's actually easier for me to like really work with the macro level because that's where my consciousness naturally wants to go. It naturally wants to go like, how do we heal the whole world? How do we heal the whole planet? How do we do all the things for all the people? But the other side of that is for the individual selves, like for yourself. What does best case scenario look like in your life? What does it look like in your finances, in your home life, in your family, in your relationship dynamic, in your romantic relationship, in your career, in your day-to-day enjoyment of the lifestyle that you choose? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What is best case scenario for you? So that's really what today's topic is about. And your homework today is going to be, journaling this. First of all, you want to think about it, right? You could write in the journal, just like brainstorming, best case scenario, this category, best case scenario, this category. We did this a little bit in the beginning of the challenge. We're going to get more and more clear. And we're actually going to do a vision board if you want. I bought the whiteboard yesterday and some glue and I have magazines. So I'm going to make a vision board and we can do that together one of the days if you want. Leave a comment if you want us to do a vision board together for 2022. I actually think it's super cool to do that because when you do that, what you're doing is you're really fine-tuning what that vision looks like. And then what you want to do in your meditation is take it from the visual into what does it feel like? And that's when you get even more specific and call it in, right? So many times, literally decades of vision boards have come true for me. Liz says, I still have my dream board on Pinterest. Oh, amazing. Let's see. Yeah, Jean says, "Good morning. Intricately connected, we are one. Amen. Healing love to you and all. Now that is truly some beautiful vision. Grateful for all who are helping others evolve. Yes to the vision board." Okay, amazing. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because one of the somebody I follow the other day, there's actually a science, apparently, according to vision board science, and somebody did say that it's more beneficial if you create your vision board physically, like actually take a paper, glue, cut out your visions, put them there, and then have it somewhere that you can see it on a regular basis. So according to vision board scientists, this is actually a more effective way. In the past, I've done both ways, and both ways worked for me, but like I do think doing it with the cutouts can be very powerful because you're just ingraining more deeply the specific, right? I remember one time I think I told the story in a different video, but I really wanted to go to Maldives, and I had this vision of filming the 30-day yoga challenge, and I had all these visions, and I cut them out and I put them on the vision board, and all of them came true. Let's see, Liz says, "I totally hear that about the physical vision board." Yeah, so I encourage you guys to do it. It's also a really fun thing to do, whether it's with your partner, with your friends, family, or children. There's so many ways that you can do it and make it fun. And the new moon is coming up, so it's a good timing for that. And so I encourage it. But just in terms of just getting clear on your best case scenario, you could do that in a journal or in your meditations, but it's nice if you write it down. So in the journal, it can be like best case scenario, finances, best case scenario, home, best case scenario, my health, best case scenario, my family, best case scenario, all the things. And then each one get really specific. What would be the absolute best case scenario? And then you can think of it in short term and long term. So it's like best case scenario in the next month, the next 6 months, the next year, or best case scenario for my life, right? So the lifelong one, or the 10-year, the long-term visions are often a little bit, you want to be more general, right? Because if you're like very specific, you're like, I want it to be this exactly, then you might be limiting that vision. So you could be like, best case scenario, let's say if you're married, that me and my beloved are married for the entire life with love and joy and harmony, and we grow deeper and deeper in our connection. So that would be a nice best case scenario, for example, for your relationship dynamic, if you're with somebody that you love already and you want to see that for the whole life. But if you're single and you're like, okay, best case scenario, my partner in life shows up and we just know immediately and we hit it off so well, and divine alignment organized everything for us to come together, like best case scenario, right? And then however you want to do it, even with the timing of that, like, and it came exactly in the timing. And then best case scenario, or whatever you want to paint that picture, just get clear and get specific if you can. And so best case scenario in every category of your life. Does anybody have any questions about this? I really feel even just using that affirmation can be powerful and beneficial. So if you just want to use the affirmation, anytime something is going on in your life, whether you feel that it's going well or not, don't worry about that part. Just think everything's working out, best case scenario for all involved. Another way that I like to say it is, I'm so happy and grateful it all worked out. So many times when I say that affirmation, that I'm so happy and grateful that it all worked out, what you're really doing is declaring it's already done. It's already done. So if you feel that feeling of it's already done, it's all worked out, that's a very good, relaxed energy around what it is that you're creating in your life, right? So instead of this other feeling, which is like, oh no, what if it doesn't work out? Like, and then like going and defaulting to all the times it didn't work out, and then recreating the energy of that inside, and then being like, well, it might not work out, and then having all this doubt or fear. Instead, just going into it's already done. And the knowing and the faith and the trust that of course it's already done. Of course it all unfolded in divine and perfect order, best case scenario, because the universe truly is conspiring for you to win. The universe wants you to grow, evolve, succeed, flourish, and enjoy life. Truly, I really believe that. And the universe is not a vindictive, mean, like school teacher that's like, okay, discipline, you're going to have to learn these lessons. We learn because we have to learn certain lessons because we're like not awake, right? Whenever I've learned a very difficult lesson, it's because I didn't listen to my intuition. Now, if you don't even hear your intuition, you have to really start working on that. How do you deepen and amplify the voice of your intuition? You do that through continuous meditative practices. So if you meditate regularly, you'll start to hear your strong. I couldn't hear my intuition. Over time, with continuous meditative practices through the yoga path, and also because so often the things that are blocking us up on the inside are also blocking up that divine channel to the intuition. So that's one part of it. And then the other part of it is, besides for listening to the intuition, is really just allowing the universe to guide you through the way that you feel. So also tapping into how you feel. So often I meet people who aren't in touch with their feelings. Leave a comment if you know people who are not in touch with your feelings, and click like if you are in touch with your feelings. Being in touch with your feelings is not some woo-woo thing just for ladies, right? For women. People, a lot of times men think this is like only for women, but truly all beings have feelings. And the more that we're all in touch with our feelings are a natural guidance system. Our feelings will tell us, for example, like if you feel good, keep going there. If it doesn't feel good, stop doing it. And then sometimes we feel good doing something for a minute, but we know later we're not going to feel good. So you have to also assess the overall feeling that comes from the experience, not just in that short term. Here's the thing that we're working on for the Flow State VIP membership is this whole program about how to heal your life and ascend into a higher vibration. And one of the things that we're working on is called a dopamine protocol, the dopamine detox protocol. So basically there's science that has shown, and we have a video we're putting on the website for Flow State VIP, but basically science shows that what happens is once we start getting into a loop of like reaching for things that trigger dopamine, then they become addictive and then it becomes a problem. So for example, this has happened a lot with food for a lot of people and also social media. One thing that it happened a lot for a lot of people in the younger generations is when you go on social media and you get a lot of likes or engagement on a post that you share, all of a sudden it induces this huge dopamine and you feel really good. But if you don't get all this like engagement or likes or something, then you feel bad and you're like, you start to attribute this external validation for feeling good or not feeling good, and then it becomes problematic. Another thing that does that is food. Some people, you're sitting there, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden you reach for like snacks, right? Maybe it's candy, chocolate, sweets, it could be coffees for some people, or different types of things. Maybe you're more of a savory food person, so maybe you like chips or whatever it is. But ultimately, like the reaching for snacks when you feel this void inside is this dopamine fix. So what it does is it fills that void, it triggers a feeling of good happiness hormones. All of a sudden you feel good, but it only lasts for a few minutes. It never lasts for long. So when you have that experience, you start to continuously reach for those things. So you want to keep feeding that good feeling. But that's what I love about fasting or meditation, the yogic practices, and also even plant medicine and stuff, is what it does is it makes you sit with the beingness of yourself, just being with yourself, tuning in, feeling connected. Exactly. Tuning in, Jean, feeling connected to yourself and being completely satisfied just with that, with yourself, by yourself, with nothing else. You don't need food, you don't need your phone, you don't need external validation, you don't need another person, you don't need anything, literally. And then to be able to feel the joy of beingness just in that alone. And that is what my goal, my aspiration is for all beings to have that experience, and for that experience to be a dominant experience for all people in the world, so that the addictions and the suffering is all eradicated, right? So it's like instead of pandemic of virus that we've been dealing with. It's literally a pandemic of disconnect that is the bigger problem. And it's interesting how this pandemic had a protocol of social distancing, thus further disconnecting people from each other and from themselves and pushing them into a field of fear. So what we want to do is solve that by doing the exact opposite. We want to help people to feel connected to their self, connected to the source of life and God all the time, feeling peace and fulfillment, as well as a feeling of everything's going to be okay because everything's working out in the divine and perfect order according to the divine plan. And so that peace inside of knowing that all is well. And so that will solve a lot of this depression, anxiety, and all these other things. Now, trauma, we can talk more about that in another video, but trauma is a bigger problem because it doesn't necessarily get healed just from beingness, right? There's certain ways that if you just meditated for many years, you could probably just transmute the trauma. But I really believe that there are certain pathways to healing trauma that are more effective. So breath work is very effective for healing trauma. Guided meditations can be very powerful. Plant medicines can be very powerful. Continuous practice and discipline around the yogic path can be very, very healing. So there's a number of ways to heal trauma. Right now, the planet has been traumatized from this global pandemic lockdown. So we are on a mission of helping not only heal the planet, but help everybody to create best case scenarios for their own life, right? So whatever has been the story up until now doesn't have to continue to be the story for you, for anybody that you know. And even if you're doing really well in your life, you probably know people, some people, maybe in your family, maybe in your community, maybe friends that you had that are struggling through this time. It's interesting. So I talked to a woman the other day and I said something about the mental health being the biggest problem that came out of the pandemic. And she was like, yeah. And she's like, I don't really want to think about that. And she's been doing pretty well apparently. So, but I was like, well, to me, I don't want to think about the global mental crisis, but it's kind of my job. I made it my life mission to heal the minds and hearts of humanity. And I've been doing that for millions of people for almost 2 decades. So that's my first thought is, okay, how do we heal the minds and the hearts of humanity after this tremendous trauma that's been imposed upon all of humanity for the past 2 years? So we're on a mission with that at the Flow State Institute, and we're helping the world to work out and create the best case scenarios for each individual. You have that power within you, and we're here to support you in any way that we can. And so let me know, leave a comment if you already know what your best case scenario is. Feel free to post it in the comments and we'll hold you accountable and send you love and prayers for that beautiful vision to manifest. Let's see, David said, I was cut off from my feelings for most of my life. It took a long time to learn to feel them. Oh, wow, David. A lot of men have that experience. So I'm sorry to hear that. And it's also very common in the sense of men are not given the permission to feel their feelings the same way that women are. Although women are also kind of repressed because then women are often told you're too emotional, or you too this or too that. But men are really blocked from their emotions. They're told that, it's wimpy to feel your feelings or to be emotional. And that's all changing. I have friends that have this group, it's called Sacred Sons. And Sacred Sons is like a divine masculine school where they teach you, how to get into your feelings, how to feel. So if you're interested in connecting to that, I would highly encourage you. It's called Sacred Sons. I think they're on Instagram. You can find them. They probably have a website as well. And if you connect to them, let them know I sent you. They are a friend of mine's husband runs that. Let's see. Liz says, David, I'm celebrating with you for the victory of being in touch with those feelings. You are light years ahead of so many. What a great and powerful testimony you are. Very inspiring. Beautiful, Liz. Thank you. Jean, we all need love and care, true understanding. Beautiful message. Oh, David, exactly. I thought it was normal. I'll check them out. Thanks. You're welcome. Liz, from Autobiography of a Yogi, ever new joy is God. He is inexhaustible. As you continue your meditation during the years, he will beguile you with an infinite ingenuity. Devotees like yourself who have found the way to God never dream of exchanging him for any other happiness. He is seductive beyond the thought of competition. Yes. Oh, Jean, we all deserve love and understanding. I know more and more men connecting with their feminine side. Yeah, it's starting more and more, really, I've seen more men connecting to that. So it's beautiful. I am in all support of men connecting to their divine emotional connection and feeling their feelings. That's truly the path of becoming in the divine masculine. The broken toxic masculine is the one that's like not feeling feelings, hurting people, not even caring that they're hurting people, and things like that. So it's like a whole cycle that's been destructive to humanity for many years. It's also why the climate crisis happened. It's because they didn't even care about the planet. Mother Earth is a feminine energy, and the toxic masculine was like, let's rape her of her resources and sell them to make a profit. The divine masculine will be like, let's find a way to sustainably coexist on this beautiful planet and make all that live here, including the planet, flourish. And so I'm all for that. Anyway, best case scenario for the planet. We put it out there. Amen, Darian. I love you, goddess. And let's see what else is going on. We're excited about a bunch of stuff coming up. I've been sharing in the lives about our big event in June for International Yoga Day and lots of cool stuff. You guys will be invited. You could come physically to the event in June or tune in live from online. And I'll give more information about that pretty soon. Also, Flow State teacher training. If you didn't already do it, you're welcome to join that. Dive deeper into our program. We have hundreds of hours of videos, practices, and you can take this to the deepest core depth of your being, and then also learn to teach and share this powerful healing path and message and medicine for all you come into contact with can be benefiting from that beautiful energy. And let's see, what day is that? International Day of Yoga is June. Our event's June 17th through 19th. So it's the weekend before Yoga Day. Yoga Day is June 20th, I think, or June 21st. It's around the summer solstice. Liz says, Flow State resource is amazing. Yes, goddess. Yeah, I really, I'm so grateful and excited about how this has all unfolded. And we're getting ready to launch this huge thing that I've been working on for a long time. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, the event's going to be in Miami, Jean. You're welcome to join us. It's at a beautiful place. You will love it. And anyway, so yeah, we're getting ready to launch a few big things. I'll be announcing those when they're ready. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Always feel free to share this video. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and click the like button, leave a comment, let us know where you're coming from. I always love to connect with you and excited about making more videos here in this new year. Much love and namaste.